Well, welcome to our class on plural noun proposition. Today we're going to take a look at composing the outline. So to compose the outline. What we want to do when we're preparing for our plural noun proposition paper is really put a lot of time into the preparation part. And you'll see how we do this in different ways. But to actually compose the structure of the outline is absolutely critical in creating your actual outline. And so what we're trying to do then is, and again, we're kind of using the three F's, to compose or create a plural noun proposition paper. The three F's are we want to make sure it fits. In other words, that the outline it coordinates and it relates from the heading to the subheading to the next point. We want to make sure it flows so that it's smooth and orderly, and we want to make sure the format. We want to make sure that we actually have structure. And so, in determining the proposition of the paper, that's our first step. But then the second step is actually to compose an outline. And so there's four steps that we want to address. One is in composing the outline, you're going to always know exactly where you are. And that's important. So many times I've graded papers and the paper starts off pretty good. It's like it's on track, and then before you know it, you don't have any idea what they're talking about. They're definitely not talking about the main heading. They're definitely not supporting their argument. They're on what we traditionally would call a rabbit trail, and so you're going straight, and then all of a sudden you make a sharp turn. So the outline will help us to know exactly where we are at all times. The second step then is to make sure that we're repeating the source. In the papers that we're doing, these are papers that are traditionally more like reviews or reports. We're reading or repeating, we're summarizing, we're evaluating. So we're taking a source and we're commenting on that source. And so the outline format will make sure that we're actually repeating that source. And again, we're not going off on rabbit trails. The third step then is this process will help everybody, the writer, if it's a speech, the speaker, if it's a listener, the hearer, to remember and apply the message. So as a preacher, as a pastor, as a teacher, I'm speaking, I'm teaching so that people will learn, and then not only learn, will apply it to their lives, who they'll remember it. So it's actually absolutely essential for me that I'm trying to write and I'm trying to teach in a way that people remember and apply. And then the fourth step is the outline process. Composing an outline will definitely help you to stay organized and to stay on that smooth course. Instead of having a bumpy ride, it's just going to be a really nice, smooth ride. It's a good read. It's clear, it's concise, and people know where you're going, where you're heading, and then you land the plane, and it's just a nice, smooth landing. So the basic structure or format of our outline is, and this is a two-layer format. We're only talking about kind of a basic outline. So this is a two-layer outline, meaning we have our Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2, Roman numeral 3. Each Roman numeral has two supporting statements after it. And so the first level is Roman numeral 1. The second level then is the capital A, capital B. And so that's level 1, level 2, and you can kind of see how that looks. And so that's our two-level deep format. That's all we're asking. All we're really asking right now is to keep the paper pretty simple, okay? Remember, in composing the outline, that we're trying to capture complete thoughts, right? And so each point needs to fit. So you have your Roman numeral 1, right? And then each subpoint needs to fit whatever that plural noun proposition is. And so it coordinates it, harmonizes with the subpoint with the head point. Head point 1 relates to head point or subpoint number A and B. Head point Roman numeral 2 relates to subpoint A and B again. Roman numeral 3 head point has two subheadings as well. So each of your outline then will and should be formed by grammatical structure. And so it will have structure, it will have format, and that in and of itself will provide clarity. So to give you an example, 1 Peter 4:7. 1 Peter 4:7 we can create an outline from that. So we read chapter 4, verses 7 through 11, and we take out of the paragraph the 4 ways you must respond in light of the imminent return of Christ. So let me repeat. The plural noun proposition, right, is Peter provides 4 ways what? That you must respond in light of the imminent return of Christ. See how clear that is? See how crisp that is? Now the 4 subpoints have to relate to that key point of Peter providing 4 ways that we respond. Respond to what? In light of Christ's imminent return. So the 4 ways is 1, you must be sober in prayer, found in verse 7, the second part of verse 7, 7b. The second point is you must be sacrificial in love. That comes from verse 8. Third point is you must be sincere in hospitality. Comes from verse 9. And then verses 10 and 11 said you must be selfless in service. And so the outline comes out of the text. And so we're reading a text, we're reading a paragraph, and then we can draw out in outline form, and that's kind of what that would look like. So let's go back again, and let's take a look at what I like to do is I like to give a big picture and then come in tight and kind of synthesize that again. And so I've been talking about this main heading and then subheading, Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2, Roman numeral 3, and then A, B. So this is how it would look like. You have your plural noun proposition point 1, plural noun proposition part 2, plural noun proposition part 3. Each of them have supporting sentences. And so for a while, you may need to write out a little 3x5 card cheat sheet or have that written down somewhere where when I'm writing, I'm making sure that I'm supporting my statement. Does that make sense? Before we move on to alliteration, I liken it to this. If I wanted to prove that my favorite football team, right? My favorite football team, we'll go back, is the USC Trojans. And I'm trying to convince somebody that the USC Trojans are the best college football player or team ever. Well, that's my proposition. I believe that there are 3 reasons why USC football is the best college football team ever. Well, what are my 3 reasons? Right? I have to have those 3 reasons. So after brainstorming and writing down the things that I think, so total number of wins, that's a good reason. Total number of Rose Bowl championships, that's a good reason. And let's say total number of national championships. So the 3 reasons why I believe the USC Trojans are the best football team ever is because they're in the top 10 of wins. They've won the most Rose Bowl and the second most national championships of all time. Now I would then need to have a supporting sentence after that. So if I'm going to say they've are in the top 10 of victories, well, why aren't they number 1? If my argument is they're the best ever, then why don't they have the most wins? Well, there's other circumstances behind that. So I want to say, maybe they have the most wins in Division I college football. Maybe they have the most wins since 1900 or 1950 because things have radically changed. I said the other reason was that they won the most Super Bowls, or not Super Bowls, most Rose Bowls. Well, they've won 24 Rose Bowls. The second most Rose Bowl winners has won like 7. So you see there's a huge difference in those bowl games, right? My third point was that they have won the second most national championships. And again, you might ask, well, how come they haven't won the most national championships? Well, a lot of teams were playing 20, 30 years before USC even played their first down. And so there was some time. So you have to come up with your supporting sentences that explain why your fact, right? Why your fact is relevant and actually supports your statement. Does that make sense? Okay, good. One of the ways we can do that is by using alliteration. Remember we talked about part of the strength of having composing an outline is so that we can remember, right? Remember and apply. Well, another step we can take in remembering and applying is the use of alliteration and acrostics, right? So alliteration consists of like kind of having that same letter that starts, right? So the 3 reasons why I believe, USC football is the best are the 3 S's, let's say, or the 3 C's, or, the 4 F's. Make sense? So alliteration consists of beginning with the key words, usually the first word, to make the point of each of your sentences. So in James 1:2, James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4, the plural noun propositions, there are 3 ways that you must respond when you encounter trials. So 3 ways that you need to respond when you encounter trials. 3 C's: considerate, all joy, cling to what you know, and then capitalize on the opportunity. See how then you might walk away in an hour or two, in a day or two, maybe next week, hopefully forever, you can think, you know what, when I encounter trials, there's 3 things that I need to do. What are those 3 things? What are those 3 things? Oh yeah, there are 3 C's. First C was consider it all joy. Second C was cling to what I know. And then the third one was capitalize on it. See how, because it was 3 C's, I could draw back and remember what I had learned. Or we can use acrostics. Using the same verse from James chapter 1, verse 2 through 4, there are 3 ways you must act when you encounter trials. Ooh, I like that, right? When we encounter trials, there's a way we're supposed to respond or act. And so we're going to use the acrostic A, C, T. The first step is A, acknowledge it all joy. The second step is C, cherish what you know. The third aspect is T, take advantage of the opportunity. So again, a month down the road, I'm encountering a trial, and I'm like, trial. When I encounter trial, I'm supposed to, that's supposed to be okay. And so I'm supposed to act. I'm supposed to act a certain way. A, acknowledge it all joy. C, cherish what you know. And then T is take advantage of the opportunity. See how the acrostic will help me to memorize that. And that's also how the composition of your outline in your plural noun proposition paper will help you and the reader. It's very good. Now, maybe there's none, which is perfectly fine. Most of our papers aren't going to have alliterations. They're not going to have, acrostics. They're just going to be answering the question, right? In James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4, it talks about what happens when you have trials and tribulations. How do I respond? Okay, well, there's 3 ways that you must respond when you encounter trials. Regard it all joy, hold fast to what you know, capitalize on the opportunity. And so you'll see that all three of them, and this is really important, are saying the same thing. We're using synonyms, right? We're using synonyms to highlight the point that we draw out of the text. We're not making anything up. We're just reporting on what the text is already saying. So that's, again, is a very important point for us to understand, okay? Again, this is, in conclusion, this is the way that we compose our outlines to develop our plural noun proposition papers. It'll help you know exactly where you are in the paragraph. It will ensure that you stick to the source. You're repeating the source. You're not making up your own arguments. It'll help you to remember and apply what you've just watched, what you've just read, what you've just listened to, and it'll definitely help you stay organized and smooth. Plural noun proposition, how to compose an outline. Thank you.